interrogate in Africa is who is the leader. Because we have too many individuals in Africa occupying offices who are not leaders, they are merely misleaders.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Yes, Bayo Olatito on X is saying Nigeria and Nigerians may not come out of the mess we find ourselves soon if we just keep doing the same thing. Unless the right people are in leadership positions, this is how we will be lamenting. We need restructuring in all aspects, including our minds. Olalekan on X says, it is so sad to say that even in the foreseeable future, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Coming from Prince Ademieva, some of these names on X, Prince Ademieva. He says, we dream big, but what is the usefulness of our dream when our political space keep killing the dreams? You have double dream. I'm trying to put this right. As it is now. Okay, that's as it is now. You have to double dream your dream for you to achieve a dream. You have to double dream your dream for you to achieve a dream. He says, Edmund, I'm seeing darkness, no form of encouragement from any angle. We have self-motivated ourselves countless of times. But you know, self-motivation is the biggest motivation. Self-motivation is the best form of motivation. In that case, you are relying on yourself. So if you are not motivated by yourself, you will be easily disappointed by those who don't motivate you. Motivate yourself. Paul also says Nigeria itself is not preparing for light. You know, Paul, when you speak like this, I ask you, Paul, are you preparing for light? You know, most of the comments I see is that I pity Nigeria. Stop pitying Nigeria. Pity yourself. Pity for yourself. Nigeria is an abstract. You are getting it wrong. Nigeria does not exist without you. So when you say you pity Nigeria, you don't get it. Nigeria is an abstract. It's just a word. It is because of Nigerians that Nigeria exists. So if there are no people, there's no country. So when you say I pity Nigeria, you come on my page, I pity Nigeria. I say, man, I'll say pity yourself. Stop pitying Nigeria. Pity yourself. You know? Pity yourself. The other guy came and said, I cry for Nigeria. I didn't know, cry for yourself. Omo Akeu on X says, I usually say this, that no politician in Nigeria would make it to heaven. Don't be surprised. Akpabio will be sitting by the right hand of God. Every night, you know, God is a forgiving God. He will just forgive Akpabio. He will just forgive Tinubu last minute. Boom. I will say, Edmond, go and meet Lucifer. I will protest. So how? But is there hellfire? Is there hell? Is there hell? Is there heaven? Just think, is there heaven? Where is it? Where is hell? I'm still thinking, sometimes I come and I say, heaven, where is it? Trying to picture it, hellfire. How? Okay. I'm just thinking. You know, I question everything. Yesterday I had a visitor in my office. When he came in, he saw books on Islam on my table. I was reading there was this book I'm reading. It's entitled Islam. Then I had another big book, The Fall of the Ottoman Empire. And it's about Islam. The guy said, how far? What's going on? I said, man, this is Islam. I want to go inside. Let me see what's going on. I want to bring peace to the Middle East. I said, how? I said, don't worry. I'm going to bring peace to the Middle East. He said, are you sure? He said, that place will be perpetually at war. I said, okay, that's what I'm researching. I'm going into the history of the Middle East. The history of Islam from the first day. I'm collecting every work on Islam. Because I'm worried about the Middle East. I'm worried about the Sahel. The violence in the Sahel is connected to Islam. Boko Haram is connected to Islam. I'm saying, okay, we need to solve. There's something wrong somewhere. And the great leaders must find out what is wrong somewhere. You now have churches everywhere. There are so many pastors. Everybody's preaching, yet there is problem in the land. There's something wrong somewhere. I received a letter. The letter is entitled Much to Discuss, Sir. So the letter reads, I'm elated to write you, Mr. Edmond, for your resourcefulness in disseminating information that will transform the society for better. Your presentation and delivery on issues which are germane to our existence, sustenance, and survival is highly commendable. And this peace of mind is another way of saying, well done, sir, on state affairs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The writer says straight to the intent of this letter, your presentation on agriculture business and food security in particular needs better clarification and definition. I was at Fashola Farm Estate on the 3rd of November 2023 to inquire about Mickey Barnes Limited, having listened to your program the previous Saturday. In short, I was fortunate to meet the GM and also tried to spend some hours on the farm to make certain observations. When you brought Mr. Wahid Adebayo and Baba Adebayo, Chair, Sugarcane Processors, to extend the talking on agribusiness, it then charges me to give my views and opinions on this vital item of general discourse. I am liking this letter. I like this feedback. I like this feedback. You know, I like letters. Write me letters. The author of the letter says, Mr. Edmond, these assertions of mine shouldn't be misunderstood nor misinterpreted whenever food security, etc., or agribusiness is discussed on air. Certain principles and laws should be established and implemented by agri stakeholders if really we are serious about providing affordable food for all. Many of us didn't know these, and we need to set these rules straight and simple. Though they may appear simple and familiar, but I fear we may eventually lose our guide and continue in this food mess if we failed to adhere strictly to its hidden points. Now I want to know those points. The author of this letter, Lawal Muhyiddin Abiodun, is on State Affairs. Mr. Muhyiddin, thank you for writing me.
It is my pleasure, Mr. Edmond Obilo, to be on the air with you.
And thank you for accepting my invitation.
It is my pleasure as well.
In your letter, you said, farming is not an instant payment application, but an investment. Why did you say that?
Thank you, Mr. Edmond. The reason for my conclusion is that many of our people that are into farming think that once they put money into farming, they expect that the returns will come up immediately. It is not like that. Farming is systemic. Systemic in the sense that first you have to plan. You have to give yourself a guide. How am I going to do this business? At what rate? In which form? For instance, I will bring you closer into maize production, for example. In a year, basically, we normally do 2 maize planting season. One in the on season, which is the rainy season, and one in the dry season, which is the later part of the year. But it is quite unfortunate that many farmers that go into rainy season farming, they don't have much returns. The reason is that a lot of farmers do plant at that time, and the returns on that base will go down. Instead, it is better for many of us to focus on dry season farming. At that time, the water that is expected to fill the seeds for germination will reduce. And during that time, whatever you are able to produce will give you much return because the demand will be more and the supply will be less. Now, to my point, for you to prepare to farm during dry season, it means you have to plan very well. One of the basic requirements of plant is water. How am I going to get water? Will it be available for the crop cycle? I mean, the period of time that your seed will start to germinate till the time that you are going to pick the fruit, as in harvesting. So if you are not one that cares about how you want to plan the way you are going to farm, you are going to run out of steam.
Let me tell you something about my guest. He is a trained animal production technologist, and he is a practicing farmer. When you wrote this letter, you were sure that food insecurity is on the way, right?
Yes, Mr. Edmond.
What gave you that impression?
Let me tell you that I have been on this study for quite a while. If I can recall, I have been having this headache about food insecurity for almost 10 years ago. I left school in 2011 to be precise. At that time, we normally go about doing some odd jobs for feed mill business, feed mills and some poultry houses. 2 years or 3 years after, I discovered that many of the feed ingredients that we are using are coming from the north. That one is an advantage to those in the north. And I discovered that majority of the feed ingredients that we normally use in poultry feed production, let me say 10 or 5% of it doesn't come from the south. That is when I started to have this headache. And furthermore, I discovered that the supply that we are having 2 or 3 years after begins to go down. Insurgency is part of it, banditry and some other internal crises. So from then, I now sat down and think it within myself that if things should continue like this, I fear that Nigeria is going to have problem with food.
And here we are.
Exactly, sir. Because my experience in the field shows me that the livestock generally and human being, we are both competing for food. For instance, the maize we are consuming is the same maize that chickens and animals and the rest are also consuming. The groundnut that we are consuming is the same groundnut that poultry, chickens, cattle, rams, and the others are also consuming. I'm talking in the sense of making concentrate for those livestock animals. So if you look at the competition between human beings and animals in terms of food supply, you see that the competition is very, very enormous. And if you look at the amount or the number of those farmers that we have around, you discover that if care is not taken, we are going to have what is called food insecurity or food shortage. And this is what we are right now.
10 years ago, you saw the signs.
Yes, exactly.
Because most of the feedings were coming from the north.
Exactly.
I'm just thinking here, when you saw that sign, did you make any attempt to fill the gap that will come? Because I'm saying, as you just said that, money just came into my head. You noticed a problem. If I noticed it like that, I would just go and meet an investor. Come on, can we invest in this in the South? Did you make that attempt?
Thank you, Mr. Edmond. In my second point I raised through my letter, I told you that agribusiness is not well understood here. I'm going to break it down.
Here in the South?
Exactly.
So the Northerners are better with farming?
Exactly. When you called me on Thursday night, I was trying to figure out what I would say on the air because I know I'm live and the whole world is listening. I would like to ask you a question. In between the North and the South, who should be in agribusiness more?
Every one of us.
Well, I'll tell you, you are a little bit out of that point. I'll tell you the reason why the South is favored.
Okay.
I have 5 points, sir. 1, I was going through some tests this morning and I ran into this. It was all about Babylon of those old days. Babylon didn't have anything. Babylon only have 2 things: a soil, a fertile soil, and a water, that is River Euphrates. If you look at the South, we have a lot of things that favors us. The soil is fertile. We have water running all through the year. We have some other factors as well. If you compare South and the North together, the amount of rainfall that we receive here is much here than what they have up north.
But the food coming from there,
Exactly.
it's more than what is coming from
Exactly. That is the irony of it. And in terms of the land, the amount of land or the quantity of land that is meant for cultivation, I can say it is much over there compared to what we have here. I'll tell you the reason. We are still living in the past. I mean the South. I have this argument with my dad some years ago. Many of the greens that we have are coming from the North. Why? My dad was telling me it was because there is no tree, it was because the land is flat. I was now telling him, if the land is flat and it is cultivable, you can use machines, you can use every other thing. Why can't we make it here as well? Remove those trees that are hindering machines to go. Let it be flat. So that is the problem we are having. So that is the reason why I said we don't understand farming here. Many of us, we like to have what we call smallholder farms instead of us joining together to have large plantation.
Commercial farming.
Exactly.
You said in this letter that government in the southwestern Nigeria should stop politicizing farming
Yes.
and agribusiness.
Yes.
How?
My experience to Fashola is the reason why I said that. I am very happy when you mentioned that you are even calling them, I mean those that were sent to Nasarawa, the Nasarawa farmers. Mr. Edmond, I am doing a sampling right now, and by the time I finish with it, I'll send you a report. In every 10 or 20 households in the Southwest, I mean Southwest, hardly you will see one person or an individual that is interested in farming. The reason is that many of our leaders that we see as governors, as senators, as reps, they don't know anything about farming. Their own is just to say, okay, this is what we want to do, everybody should go to farm, and the rest, and the rest, and the rest like that. No, farming is not done in that way. The first thing is, who are those that are ready to do farming? Farming is a passion, just like what you are doing in your profession. You like to be in the studio, you like to do research, the same way. For instance, now, I just related an experience with you. Last year, I wanted to do dry season farming. For me to get a laborer that will clear the land is a problem. In fact, I have to spend the money. It's now came back to
Where
me.
are the laborers? What happened to them?
They are, in fact, for you to get laborers these days, you are going to sweat.
I asked that question when I went to Oyo. They said if the boys prefer to ride Okada,
Than clearing the land.
Okada gives them money,
Instant money.
instant money.
Yes.
Do you blame them?
No, I will not. But it is not going to last.
What did you see in Fashola? You went to Fashola. What did you see?
At Fashola, I can see that place as an investment up. It is going to bring a lot of monetary returns. It is going to create employment opportunities. It is going to open up Oyo State as a place for real agribusiness. But the problem is that I see that environment as an elitist environment. During the course of my journey into that, there is an adjoining area directly opposite the hub.
Yeah.
You have indigenous farmers there, and you can see loads of cassava coming from the road and from the villages. The problem we are going to have is that you as a person, you are in the broadcasting industry, you may likely want to go into farming. And seeing such a setup, you probably like to associate yourself with those in the hub. But for commoners, for starters like us, and those that don't have much money,
Are you still a starter? You have been in this game. What?
Mr. Edmond, I have to be sincere with myself. I am a starter. I'm a practitioner.
You have been in this game for more than 10 years. Is it not?
It is true.
You can't be a starter.
There are some hidden things that I'm still learning.
Because some of those in that Fashola, some of them just started about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes, it's true.
Or perhaps you don't have enough resources, but you're not a starter.
It's true, I don't have that resources. But I'll tell you, I'm still a starter. The reason is that my experience with those in the business, my dads and my pioneers, let me just call them that name. It shows me that there are some certain traditional knowledge when it comes to farming that you may not know.
If I am able to source about 20-25 million, what will you do with it?
Mr. Edmond, let me tell you that even giving me 25 million is not much. But provide me with those materials that I need to work with. I'll tell you one.
See. Now, can you design a proposal? A proposal of an agric business we can go into. I will source for the money. But again, in your proposal, tell us how much we will make in 10 years. I want to see clearly. Then let me go source for the money. Let's run business. The problems you highlighted here, let's solve it. Let's prove we can do it.
Mr. Edmond, thank you very much. this is another year, 2024.
Yeah.
I can tell you I have some copies at home about Israel.
You see, do a proposal, bring it to the table. Huh? You said we can come together and run business now.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
Even with maize, there are tendencies for us to generate, let me say, 6 digits money this year.
I have a date with you.
Thank you very much.
We'll see in the office.
It is my pleasure talking to you.
Yes. Lawal Muhyiddin Abiodun, thank you for featuring on State Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Edmond Obilo. It is my pleasure.
Next week is another time on State Affairs. I am Edmond Obilo. Thank you for being with us. The next program is Ijoba Ibile with Abiodun Adewale. All right. Stay cool. Have fun. Rejoice and shout with laughter. Everything good has come.
State